You probably haven't noticed it yet, but the ground beneath your feet is already shifting. Now, not through war or protest or revolution, but through quiet math. Now, every block, every confirmation, every sat stacked is rewiring the financial DNA of the planet. Now, you don't feel it when it happens. You feel it when the old world stops making sense. When your rent doubles, but your effort doesn't. When your savings sit still, but the cost of living doesn't. And when your instincts start whispering, something's off. But that whisper, well, that's the signal. The wake-up call most people will miss, because they're still measuring wealth in a dying language. Now, I just quickly want to chuck this in here. If you haven't stacked your first million Satoshis as of yet, well, this free playbook will really help you out. Now, what I'll do is link this down in the description below. See, for 100 years, the story of money has been the same. Work hard, save dollars, then retire. But that story is ending. Now, not with an announcement, but with silence. Now, every fiat currency in history ends the same way. More printing, more promises, less value. And while everyone else is waiting for the crash, the real collapse already happened. Now, not on a chart, but in trust. Because people don't believe their banks anymore. They don't believe their pensions will exist. And they don't believe the next generation will have it easier. Now, that disbelief is the new inflation. And it's spreading faster than any virus ever could. Now, while the masses argue over interest rates, a new form of wealth is being quietly distributed. Now, not by governments, but by code. And every 10 minutes, 6.25 new Bitcoin are born. Now, that's about 625 million sats entering existence. And for the first time in human history, the issuance of money is predictable, transparent, and finite. Now, this is the quiet revolution. Now, not the flashy bull market headlines, not the price predictions, but the slow migration of value from an inflated illusion to a fixed reality. Now, the wake-up call isn't Bitcoin going up, it's the world you measure Bitcoin against is going down. See, imagine waking up one morning in 2032. You open your banking app, same logo, different rules. Your balance reads fine, but a new policy caps how much you can withdraw this week, and it says system maintenance. Now, across town, a freelancer invoices a client in sats. Direct, borderless, and instant. No bank approvals, no hidden fees, just value moved freely. Now, governments still exist, corporations still exist, but the gravity of power has shifted, and it's not boardrooms anymore, it's in cold wallets. Now, that's the world being built block by block right now. And 99% of people are still asleep, waiting for CNN to tell them it's real. See, think back to every opportunity humanity has ever missed. The people who ignored the internet because it looked like a toy. The investors who dismissed Amazon because it sold books. And the professionals who laughed at remote work until offices closed forever. Now, that's where we are right now. Standing inside a shift most won't recognise until it's written in history books. And right now, millions of people see sats as too small to matter. They scroll past it, they overthink it, they tell themselves they'll buy later. But later is how every revolution leaves people behind. Every block that passes makes those sats harder to reach, more expensive, more scarce. And one day, the same people who ignored them will stare at a single Satoshi the way that we look at an early share of Apple, wondering how something that small became that powerful. Now, that's the cycle, not because people are foolish, but because comfort always blinds us before change humbles us. Now, 1 million sats doesn't look like much right now, but neither did 10,000 Bitcoin when it bought a pizza. And every era has a moment that feels too early until it's too late. Now, history doesn't reward those who wait for permission, it rewards those who act before understanding becomes consensus. Now, the real wake up call isn't about Bitcoin's price, it's about your relationship with time. Because fiat steals your future slowly by convincing you to trade hours for digits that melt while you sleep. But Bitcoin reverses that current. It compresses your effort into something permanent. It lets you store time without decay. Now that's not an investment, that's a reclamation of life force. Because when you hold 1 million sats, you're not just holding digital money, you're holding uninflatable time. And time, not money, is the real measure of wealth. See, look at the trends. Nations are debasing their currencies faster than they can tax you. Central banks are normalising surveillance money. And young people are rejecting 40-year careers for sovereignty and side income. Now we're watching the end of the obedient era. The fiat era was built on trust in authority. But the Bitcoin era is built on verification, on code, and on math. Now that transition won't feel like fireworks, it'll feel like silence. Because when truth replaces trust, there's nothing left to argue about. See, here's what no one's ready for. The next millionaire class won't be built on Lambos or leverage, it'll be built on sovereignty. People who own their energy, their time, their value. And the 1 million sats club isn't about showing off. It's about opting out. It's about saying, I don't need permission to be free. And when the world finally wakes up to what you've been stacking quietly for years, you won't feel lucky. You'll feel calm. Because sovereignty doesn't scream, it sits in silence and compounds. See, think about this. Every generation has a defining mirror moment, a point where you see what you've become and decide if that's who you want to stay. Now, for our parents, it was the home they could afford. For us, it's the system we can't. And most people will look in that mirror and blame the reflection. But few will realise the mirror itself, the money, is warped. Now the 1 million sats mindset isn't greedy, it's clarity. It's the refusal to let inflation tell your story for you. See, we've been taught that being rich means having more things, but the next era of wealth will be defined by having less dependence. Now you don't need to be the richest person in fiat, you just need to be untouchable by it. Because the fiat millionaire needs permission to move his own funds, but the Satoshi millionaire moves in silence. Now one chases yield, the other holds truth. And in the end, well, truth always compounds faster than lies. So here's the real wake-up call. You're not early to Bitcoin anymore. You're early to the realization of what Bitcoin actually is. Now it's not an asset class. It's a mirror. It reflects your relationship with control, with freedom, with time. And 1 million sats isn't a number, it's a threshold. The line between dependence and sovereignty. And once you cross it, you stop seeing the world through dollars and you start seeing it through value. And that shift, well, that shift changes everything. So don't wait for headlines. Don't wait for confirmation. Don't wait for permission. Because the next financial era won't be televised. It'll be verified by you, by me, by everyone who answered the call when it still felt small. Now the 1 million sats wake-up call is ringing, but most people will hit snooze. But a few, the sovereign few, will get up, and when they do, well, they'll realise the future doesn't belong to those who earned more money, it belongs to those who remembered what money actually is. Now, one last time, again, if you haven't stacked your first million Satoshis, come and check out my free playbook just here, and it's called The Stacker. Now, again, what I'll do is link this down in the description below. Now, if you've made it this far, and if you're not too sure what to watch next, well, I have this playlist just here, which you can go ahead and binge watch if you enjoy watching my content, or if you just want to watch a single little video, you can watch this one just here, which is recommended to you by YouTube.